Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. My email address is tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a 2021 debut 41.5 millimeters in stainless steel. This is the Oris Aquis Date with the caliber 400. It is a very wearable size, being 41.5 millimeters in diameter by 13.4 millimeters thick, end link to end link across the wrist. The total distance is 48.1 millimeters. This watch is impressive, a legitimate Submariner competitor for a fraction of the money. This is a $3,500 watch at retail. We throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, so you can see how beautifully it wears. It is not thick. It does have a little bit of a cantilever to its bezel, but it should still fit under almost any cuff, including dress sleeves. It's really quite compact. You can see across the wrist, I've got plenty of clearance on both sides. You could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that clearance from the top as well. The timepiece is nicely made and securely anchored to its bracelet. I'll demonstrate one of the new features on this generation of Aquis Date. There is a little clamshell system underneath that actually locks the bracelet or the interchangeable strap to the bar that is fixed to the lug using a screw. So you get the security of screws and bars, but let me see if I have the fingernails to do this here and manicure them for your viewing pleasure. You can see how the system opens up and unlatches so you can quick release the bracelet, and the strap features the same system. It's very easy to release the bracelet when you want to and remove it to swap. Now you can see there's a little bit of a taper to the bracelet, which is nice. It's upscale. A lot of cheap bracelets are straight. They have a single width of link. Here we have a taper like we'd have on high-end watches. You can also see that no corners are cut. The bracelet features removable links fixed by screws. In this price point, we typically see pins and sleeves, so that is an upscale and surprisingly thoughtful feature from Oris. You can see calculated gaps on the underside of the bracelet to avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. Now we have a single fold deployant and we have trigger release. I would expect a snapshot or a clamshell here, but Oris going a little bit upmarket relative to expectations, giving us a trigger release. And then you can see right here, there is actually a fold-out extension, and there are 3 divots. So you have that dive extension to fold out over a suit, but then you have 3 divots. You can use your strap tool to re-anchor the bracelet inside the clasp, so you can fine-tune the fit using those as well. The case is nicely made and distinctive. It's not the blended lug look we get from, for example, Rolex and Omega. You can see that there's a little bit of a conical profile to the case band. It has a longitudinal satin finish, and then the lugs are broken out dramatically. You can also see that the lugs actually rise up alongside the bezel. So the bezel is sunken below the hoods of the lugs, and that helps to thin out the watch. If the bezel were sitting entirely atop the lugs, the watch would probably be another 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter thick. So that's a thoughtful design element. Oris, thinking of everything, a large, deeply knurled crown with both polish and satination on its top. You can see that the crown guards, the shear guards, are held on using screws, so if they get gashed, they can be replaced. The edge of the bezel is polished, and you can see it has a color-matching blue ceramic insert that helps to make this watch very scratch-resistant on the top, along with the sapphire, the ceramic insert helping to preserve the bezel so it doesn't look like a New York City taxi cab. One feature that I really like is the use of gradient color on the dial. That is something you see on a lot of higher-end watches from the likes of Moser, Patek Philippe, and many others. So to have that lovely gradient fade, it is quite distinctive and handsome and unexpected. You can see it is bright blue at the center, almost black at the edge. We have applique rhodium-plated steel indices. So again, a price like this, you expect to see printed features on the dial. You have applique indices here. Everything is loomed, and it is quite well loomed. We'll do a quick loom shot so you can see blue loom, all 3 hands loomed, and the watch includes a 120 click bezel, so it is quite precise. It feels far less crude and notchy than previous Oris Aquis bezels. It is becoming competitive with the best in the business. Now, most of the news, the new news in any case, is underneath the case back where we find the new Oris manufacturer caliber 400. So the headlining number is 10 years, 10-year warranty, 10-year service intervals. That is epic. It's the new industry standard, and surprise, it came from Oris. 2 mainspring barrels, 5 days of power reserve, and no compromises to get there. The 2 barrels ensuring a more even torque release than if you had 1 big barrel. So the 1 big barrel is going to overdrive the balance when it's full and lose a lot of amplitude when it's relatively empty. With 2 barrels, you have a much more even torque output from max wind to minimum wind. There is a lovely rack and pinion micrometric regulator for fine tuning, but you can also see that this uses an Edachron system. So between those two features, this watch can be tuned quite precisely. And Oris goes big, promising accuracy, saying no worse than -3 + 5 seconds per 24 hours when on the wrist. Remember, a COSC chronometer is -4 + 6. It features hacking seconds and a quick set date. It pivots on 21 joules, and it's adjusted in 5 positions, which is the same standard you'll see on chronometers. It's 30 millimeters in diameter, much bigger than the Solida calibers previously used in Oris watches. So it fills up the case back properly, and it has a handsome combination of satination and media blasting about its finish. It is also highly anti-magnetic, Oris boasting that even when exposed to 2,250 Gauss, remember the Rolex milligauss is resistant to 1,000 Gauss, at least advertised. That is quite impressive, that this thing can get shocked by that much magnetic field intensity and only vary by 10 seconds per day as a result. So this is a very tough watch. It has an unlubricated silicone escapement, and that helps it to achieve that phenomenal endurance between services 1 decade apart. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.